First one, what we did, the causes of disease. So we looked at acidosis, and anybody wants to remind us what acidosis is? Okay, so acidosis is when you're acidic, we measure pH on a scale from 1 through to 14, and when your pH or the pH of your blood falls below 6, or falls below 6, by all means you become acidic. And as I said when we did this presentation, acidic is bad, but alkalinity to an extreme can also be have detrimental effect on your health. So when your pH is too high or too low, it will affect your health. Yes. So it wears a lot on your energy when your pH is all the way up there. You have a pH of 14. It's too high for the normal functioning of your body. Okay, so the body in essence was designed to function around about a pH of 7. So pH 8, 7.5 going up, 8, 9, 10 is going to wear a lot on your system. And below 6 down, And in most cases, you test the pH of your body depending on your diet, what you put in, and your lifestyle. It could vary from one extreme to the other. And anytime your body is not maintaining homeostasis, you know that something is wrong with the pH of your system. So acidosis was the first one we looked at. Anybody remember the second one? So we looked at nutritional deficiencies. Okay, nutritional deficiencies. So mineral, we consider those as nutrients as well. And when we did mineral deficiency, what is one thing that we talked about in that? Oh yeah, we talk about magnesium, calcium, and phosphorus. And what did we say about these minerals? Okay, and that makes them what kind of minerals? They are essential, but they are what? We're just talking about acidosis. Anybody remember what those minerals would be? They are alkalizing minerals. Yeah, we have to remember these things and know them like this when you're asked, So you just have to remember, because when we're working as medical missionary, we have to remember why we are asking someone to take X or Y supplement. Why are we asking you to consume foods that are high in these minerals? We must know why they are consuming them. And the foods that has high level of minerals are usually food that are very alkalizing. So we must understand these concepts when we make recommendations as medical missionary. And after we did the nutritional deficiency, what did we do? Where are the students? After we are recapping, you got to respond to this. It's telling me you're not getting it. So we look at the laws of health, right? And in one day we did like 4, 5 of them. 4. Yes, so we did 4. What were the 4 that we did? Okay. One person at a time will speak. So, Anil, you're giving us 1. Nutrition. Okay, water, exercise, and sunlight. Okay, so we're going to take 1 from each. So we need one person to talk just tell us one thing about nutrition and its impact on our health. Why is it important that we understand nutrition? Who wants to do nutrition? Okay, go ahead. Who's doing nutrition? Your hand was up. I thought, yeah. Okay, I need somebody else to do it. Got to call on somebody to do it? How does nutrition affect our health? That's the question for nutrition. You want to help us out?
Food you eat is brings in it's get converted into energy.
Okay.
That's what I think.
So that's nutrition. The food we eat is broken down to nutrients. And from the nutrients helps to make energy by a process that we call respiration. Remember last week we talked about if we didn't have any air, any oxygen, there would be no energy to do work. So they work in collaboration with each other. So that was nutrition. So exercise is the next one. Who is going to give us that statement about exercise? Somebody, please. Let's do this real quick. Okay. Neil is, hold on.
One of the most important part of the active and also the lymphatic system.
Okay, so we activate the draining of our lymphatic system via exercise. It's a very important system. It's very important that we drain the lymphatic system because like the soul of the blood, all that's in the blood that is not needed is drained into it. If we don't exercise, then you're going to find that the lymphatic system is backed up, and then our body, our blood is bathing in this soul, which results in us becoming uncomfortable, and then it leads to disease. So exercise, so we did nutrition, exercise, and water. Who wants to do water? Sister May?
Water is important for the body contains, or 90% or 70% of the body is water. We have to always replenish the water in our body so that the systems of our bodies can function properly by being hydrated.
Okay, thank you very much. So with all the foods we eat, if they are not, if the food we eat are dry and whether they have liquid in it, in most cases we still need pure water to flush our system. We don't wash our clothes in juice or milk. You know, that would be a dilemma, right? So if we're going to wash ourselves, we need to drink water. So it's very important that we understand the distinction between drinking liquids and drinking water or eating fruits that has a lot of high level of liquid in it as opposed to drinking water. It's still very important. We need water to dilute our blood because when our blood becomes too thick, there are many, many issues that our body suffer from. So we become hypertensive, we become diabetic. All the system in our body suffer when the blood is too thick. Okay? So it's very important that we are drinking good water that will go into our cells. Okay, so sunlight. Brother Willis is going to do sunlight.
Sunlight is necessary for the production of vitamin D in our system. One of the things that promotes good production of blood cells, red blood cells, and because of lack of vitamin D. So the health of the bones is necessary for that.
So in summary, what he's saying that when we don't get sunlight, we won't get vitamin D. Vitamin D is fundamental for the normal functioning of our organs within our body. We need vitamin D, which in essence is a hormone. It's not necessarily considered like insulin, an enzyme or a nutrient hormone that is fixed. You know, our cells have receptors that absorb sunlight and convert it to a form that our body can use it. If vitamin D is not present, calcium is not utilized in a very efficient way. So therefore, we must find a way to get some vitamin D within our system consistently. Those patients that are cancer patients, in most cases, if we should examine our cancer patient, we're going to look at their vitamin D level. You're going to find 100% of the time the vitamin D level is very, very low. Okay, so it's something that we need to be conscious of living in North America. We need to be conscious that our vitamin D level must be at a normal level, and normal levels for our conventional doctors is somewhere below 50, maybe 30, somewhere there. So it's not out of a percentage. If it's a percentage and below 50 is okay, seem like something is wrong with that. So we need to always make sure that we supplement somehow in order to keep our vitamin D level up. Okay? So today we are moving on to temperance. And temperance, as it's stated here, is the foundation. It is the foundation of what? Today we have spoken earlier this morning about the 1888 message and the rejection of it. And then after we spoke about the fourth angel message, and as was established, we are the fourth angels. So in essence, at the end of time, we as God's people should all be medical missionary. And that's the objective of this process. This is not a process where we're going through and just giving you information. The information that you are obtaining is to help you get to this point. Get to this point where we could be temperate in all things. If we are not temperate in all things, we are not considered a part of God's kingdom. We cannot make it there if we're not temperate. So when we look at, the common thread that runs through what we talk about all day today is that we have to get to that point where we can deny ourselves as an individual. It's not about us. It's about God being in us, Christ in us, and perfecting his character in us, not our character we're trying to perfect, because it's not about us. And that's the fundamental. Now, what we will be doing today, we're looking at what temperance is. Why should a medical missionary study the subject of temperance? How temperate am I? And we're going to talk to ourselves. And how can I be temperate and help others to be temperate? Because your life is a ministry. So that's something that we always need to bear. Your life is a ministry. Every single thing you do, you're ministering to people who you interact with. So there is no forgetting about what temperance is. In our daily existence, we must be temperate. And being temperate, you cannot be temperate just by being you as an individual. Now, remember that the object of the medical missionary work is to point away the sin of the world. By beholding him, they will be changed. Are to encourage the sick and suffering to look to Jesus. In order to do this, we have to get to this point. Okay? We have to get to this point. How? How can we get to that? Where are we right now when it comes to pointing? Let's not focus on pointing others. We should be at that point where we're pointing others to Christ. But where are we now in our walk with Christ? Where are we? Now, we have to get to that point where we feel comfortable in our walk with Christ. And when you get to that point, then we could point others to Christ. And then you could live your life and live pointing others to Christ in your life so others could see. Okay? We have to be changed somehow. It's not going to occur by trying to perfect our character. Pastor Coco spoke about this morning. Our character is very corrupted. It is fallen, and it won't take us there. So we must get to the point where we are temperate enough. That, and we're going to look at what temperance is. Now, for false, temperance means moderation. Is that true? Or is it false? Who wants to explain? Go ahead, Michael. You need a mic. Yeah. Pastor Cookie, you have something to say? Okay, you could give him you need the mic before you speak.
You do that. Yeah, it's like it's a little bit of everything. So temperance is absolute abstinence from everything that is dangerous for health or for life, and then moderation in everything that is good.
I need clarification. Clarification. All right. So you are saying that, yeah, what you said just now is that, because I heard you make mention of moderation. So I would like you just to, because I was trying to fix my thing. So I wouldn't mind you just repeating what you said so I can get it. Okay. Thank you.
Temperance is absolute abstinence from anything that is hurtful to life. That means not just about health. Everything. Everything that's life. Even mental, spiritual, everything. Yeah, they call it temperance. It's not. So it's absolute abstinence from anything that is bad to life And then plus moderation in everything that is good. Mhm. Yeah, moderation of what is good. Mm-hmm.
Furthermore.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
But it leaves it too wide open if you only say it's moderation. If you only say it's moderation, then it leaves it open to good and bad things. So
Do
we
you,
have to put parameters so that people can understand it is only moderation in good things. But if you only say it's moderation, then somebody can say, oh, it's moderation in everything. But it's not moderation in everything. It's only moderation in good things. So yeah.
do you ever hear people say that I don't eat meat, I only eat chicken? Do you ever heard that? Yeah, no, no. They say I don't eat meat, I only eat chicken. I'm moderate. Do you know that the chicken, especially the skin, is worse than the red meat? It's a load. Oh, so thank you very much. That's all.
Okay. Now, the Webster Dictionary defines temperance, a moderation in action, thoughts or feeling, moderation or abstinence from intoxicating drink. That's the dictionary's definition. This is the Webster's Dictionary. Okay. Okay. Thank you. It's not biblical. Okay. Okay. So, this is another definition. Anil, can you read that for us? De- This seems okay. Is this okay? So, when we are temperate, does that mean we're only temperate with only the things that is hurtful? No. Should we be temperate with even the good food that we eat? Okay. So we should be temperate in all things. Now, you could ask yourself the question, am I temperate in all things? Am I striving to be temperate in all things? That's a question you need to really ask yourself this week or today. Ask yourself that today. And as you go through this week, when you think you become intemperate in anything that you're doing, whether it's very good or very bad, just ask yourself, is this Christ-like? Am I really growing in terms of spiritually? Because when we find ourselves going over the board in anything, it means that our spiritual life is in trouble. Yes, so that is something that you need to really go through this week with yourself. So, temperance therefore mean abstinence, and this is for you. You need to pay attention now, okay? From things, from things bad for us, and moderation in things that are good for us. Okay? So that's clearly stating what is it. Okay? Temperance is the foundation of health, happiness, and life eternal. Yes, that's the fundamental. And anytime you're going overboard with anything, it's not in line with God, what God designed for us at no point in time. It's fundamental. Try being temperate in your exercise, even your exercise, Michael, as good as it might be. The temperance in exercise is important. Overdoing is intemperate. And I'm not saying you're overdoing it, I'm just saying. Yes. So temperance in every single thing is very, very critical. Temperance alone, and that means self-control, restored through Christ. Can we restore it ourselves? Can we do it ourselves? No, we cannot do it ourselves. Just don't try. As Pastor Kuku would say, Scripture says, just submit to Christ and let him work through you. You cannot do it alone. Okay? So temperance is the foundation of all the graces that comes from God. Okay? So we cannot do it. The foundation of all victories to be gained. So this is something we have to internalize. We have to speak to ourselves every minute, every hour, every second, so we can stay connected with God, so we can be temperate. Every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. How they do to obtain corruptible crown, but corruptible. Michael, can you tell us what you understand from that? You need a mic.
Well, what I see here is that, well, I feel like if I add to it, I'm removing. If everyone would strive, we're told that we should strive to be a part of the 144,000, for example. So if we are to strive to be in that number, then temperance is an essential thing that we need to be a part of that number, to be qualified, to be one of those individuals. So in everything it is that we do, which by the grace of God should be good, we should be temperate in those things. We should take our time. We should be moderate and not overdo it, so that we won't be so consumed with those things and lose sight of Christ. And that's what I would say. With this, it is being moderate with even that which is good, so that you won't lose sight of Christ himself. So, for example, with 1888, they were so focused and consumed on the law. And the law is holy. The law is good. And the law is just. But in being so consumed with the law and intemperate with the law, they lost sight of the lawgiver, Jesus Christ himself. So that's why they needed to have their eyes directed back to Christ, the uplifted Savior. That's what I see there.
So are you saying we can also be intemperate with religious activities as well?
Yes, exactly.
Lose sight of the crown and eventually be lost. Right, Pastor Kuku?
So are you trying to say that we intemperance about religious things, so we must stick only to the truth and live the truth with moderation, and then absolutes, abstinent from any error?
Exactly. You got it right. Very smart. Yeah, but no. What is an overdose? That's intemperance. So we don't want to overdose on anything then, because once you start overdosing, there's no Christ in it. Yeah, it becomes you. And then you're overdosing. Yeah, Christ never overdosed on anything. Now, the great end for which Christ endured the long fast in the wilderness was to teach us the necessity of self-denial and temperance. Now, how many of us fast on a weekly basis? Just raise your hand. Weekly basis, monthly basis, every 6 months. Okay. Now, so whatever is okay. Okay. We don't want to get into that. When we say fast, I think we all understand in what we're saying. Do we all? What type of fast do we generally practice? We fast from our cell phones by not videotaping any sermons or sending anything. We fast from, what else? Television. We fast from food. Exactly. We fast from food, right? In most cases, when we speak about fasting in our setting, in most cases, we fast from food. That's just, I think we all understand. Is there any misunderstanding when I say fasting? I think everybody get it, right? And when Christ fasts, what did he fast from? Kim, what did he fast from? When Christ fasts for food, yes, what did he fast from? Okay. Okay, so he fasted from, so when I say fast, if we're following in context, he fasted in the wilderness, and it was, the primary goal is to teach us self-denial. Now, temperance, self-denial. How many of us understand what it means to deny yourself? We could deny ourselves of food, but when we get upset, are we denying ourselves or are we glorifying the devil? What are we doing? Are we allowing Christ to work, or are we allowing the devil to work? Which one of them are we doing when we get upset? So, in every facet of our lives, we might look at it and it's very simple. I'm just going to have this last one, Pastor Coco. Just this last one. So, we might have a whole plate of cake, and we're just going to have this last one. We're already full, and it's there, so might as well I just eat it, right? It's the last one. Now, is that intemperate? Okay. And so we overdosing, right? So, I mean, we might look at it and we might laugh and take it like, oh, you know, we're doing everything else. The Lord understands. Pastor Kuku, does the Lord understand? Okay. So is that going to save us? Okay, so that's their choice.
It is not just the action of eating in portion. It is a revelation of a principle that is in you that wants you to still eat it even though you know you are full. Are we getting the picture? It's not the eating that is the problem. There's something inside that is telling you, you're full, but you can still eat again. That is the problem. So when you move from food, guess what? Oh, I don't watch Barty on TV, but today, just once. Boom. Do you get the picture? It's the same thing. It's a spirit of indulging what is wrong. It's a mind that, okay, I can indulge a little bit. You know, you are not angel. You are not, oh, I am not in heaven yet. You know, we still be on earth. You never heard that before? We still be on earth. So I can do this just a little bit for now. So we are indulging and developing that disposition to indulge things. And then from there, one sin leads to another and become a lot of trouble. Temperance about the gospel. Look at Paul. He know the truth. Finally, when he want to preach to everybody. He decided to go tell to people in Jerusalem. God said, I didn't send you there. You stay with the Gentile. In Acts chapter 21, Paul said, I am ready not only to be beaten in Jerusalem, but even to die for the Lord. They said, I didn't ask you to go die. I want you to stay right here and do your work. So he was intemperance, overzealous about the gospel. He himself chose to go to Jerusalem and make all the trouble and cut the ministry short. For us, it's the work of God. Let's go into it. You got to get into intemperance, asking the Lord, how do you want me to move? Otherwise, we are going to be in big trouble. I really want us to understand this thing. It's not just a temperance, like it's a disposition of a mind that says, I am not moving unless God approves. You know, in everything, that it become a principle that will display in food, in attitude, in dress, in talk. Some of what we talk, and you're going to help us to stop. You know, we will talk to the end. Intemperance in everything.
Okay, thank you very much.
Before you continue, I just wanted to read, as Pastor was saying, it's about a mind that you set up. So you can actually be...
Let us do that in a little bit. So I'll give you that chance. Yes. Okay, the law of temperance must control the life of every Christian. Okay? God is to be in all our thoughts. His glory is ever to be kept in view. We must break away from every influence. Let's say some influence. Not even your husband. Not even your mother. It's every influence that will captivate our thoughts and lead us from God. Now that is very powerful. We live in a world where we are overstimulated. We are overstimulated. We're under the influence of our bosses. We're under the influence of our parents. We're under the influence of our partners. We're under the influence of so many different things. We're not even getting to the drugs yet. Let's talk about the drug-free people. We're under the influence of medication. We're under the influence of the media. We're under so many different medias, influence. Huh? Exactly. And that is so big, being under the influence of churches, whatever that is, but it could lead you. It's not leading you, I could say, to Christ. It's not, a lot of the times, I was speaking to someone this week, and I was saying that I've been going to church forever. Since I came to this country, I've been going to church all the time. I have 2 kids, and we will go to church from 9 to sunset or later, and we'll be in church. And it was a safe place to be. But what were we doing in church? I was going to church. I was not learning. It's 4 years ago that I started really, really understanding what this church going to church was all about. It's 4 years ago when I started reading the Spirit of Prophecy, the different book, Patriarchs and Prophets and King, and I start understanding the fundamental. You read the Bible, yes, but you don't get it when you read the Bible. But when you read this book that guide you and help you to understand, then you kind of understand a little better. I didn't understand anything. I was just going, and then I start coming here. And this is where it all opened up. It's like a new light. So it's a very big thing when we talk about churchism, because we go to church and it's right. We sit there and we want to do things, but when you don't know, you just don't know. And there's no way. You're just like you're in the middle of darkness consistently. And you sit there and you're stunted. I'm thinking 11, 12 years I'm just sitting there. Well, that's another thing. So, yeah, but that's what it is. And it's a big thing. And we could look at it and see how much trouble we're in as God's people. You know, and as Pastor Kuku said, we're not here to sit here forever. At least we must learn something and go back to teach others. And that's the fundamental. So we must break away from every influence that would captivate our thoughts and lead us from God. On a Sabbath is probably, for some of us, the only time we spend with God. And when we come on Sabbath, or when we go to church on Sabbath, we just go to church to socialize. What do we talk about? We have to be very mindful of the things that we speak about on the Sabbath, because it's not your Sabbath. It's not your Sabbath. We must be temperate in our conversation, not just on the Sabbath, but all the time. Okay? So everything that is going to lead us away from Christ. We are under sacred obligations to God, so to govern our bodies and rule our appetite and passions, that they will not lead us away from purity and holiness, or take our mind from the work God requires us to do. Okay? So all of this is something, or appetites. Appetite is one of the greatest urges that we have that governs or control our body. It is one of the greatest urges, and we have to be mindful. We must take control and subject this. And with appetite, then passions. And we have all these passions that harness our thoughts and harness what we do and dictate to our mind what we should be doing. Okay? So we need to work on this so that, you know, I'm going to skip over this. Time, actually? Okay, I'm fine. Okay. So, all right. So this is a little background on temperance and where it came from. In the 14th century, perspective of temperance is moderation in action, thoughts or feelings, habitual moderation in the indulgence of the appetite or the passion, and this is 14th century, and moderation in or abstinence from the usage of alcoholic beverages. And this was the perspective at that time. 19th century moderation in or abstinence from the use of alcoholic beverages, growth of movements dedicated to promoting moderation, and more often complete abstinence in the use of intoxicating liquors. And this is where the limitations were. The 18th century, there were just the churches that were promoting temperance. Okay, so it was predominantly the churches that promoted temperance in this time. Now, the earliest temperance organizations seem to have been those found at Sargauta, New York in 1808, and in Massachusetts in 1813. The movement spread rapidly under the influence of the church. By 1833, there were 6,000 local societies that was promoting temperance. Okay, and there are organizations that, you know, and we'll get there. It should be one of the fruits of the Spirit, or it is one of the fruit of the Spirit. Galatians 5, verse 23. Self-control, which is temperance, mean possessing power, strong, having the mastery, or possession of content and self-control. And this is very, very important in our walk with God. They line up with each other. So temperance and a walk with God is like hand in hand. You don't have one without the other. You can't be intemperate and say you're serving God. It just doesn't work. And intemperate in anything. Okay? Sister White, Patriarchs and Prophet, through temperance, teaches us to dispense entirely with everything that is hurtful to thing at all that is not good for us, we should try to use. The law of temperance, we went over this, self-control. So temperance should control the life of all Christians. God is to be in all our thoughts. His glory is ever to be kept in view. We must break away from every influence that would captivate our thoughts and lead us from God. And that is so important. I felt like it was very important to go over that one more time. We are under sacred obligation, and this is something that we must be mindful at all times to control our passions or appetite. Okay? Now, Satan's plan, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So it's a mixture of false and moderation. That is intemperance, life of selfishness, sensuality, death, physical, and eternal. That's what Satan's plan is for us. Now God's plan, the tree of life, only good, temperance in all things, life based on faith and the word, self-denial, life here and after. So we see the contrast in, and it is just for us to make our choice. See, where do we want to go? Do we want to be temperate or do we want to be intemperate? Okay. Now, once we are clothed with light, we are walking in temperance as God has designed for us. In temperance, the light vanished. No light, so that means we are now in darkness. And there is no time limit between the two. They just happen. 1 minute you might be in light, and the next minute you're going to step out of the light and be in darkness. And that is intemperance. Why should a medical missionary study the subject of intemperance? As a medical missionary, I need to practice the law of temperance. Therefore, I run thus, not with uncertainty. Why are we not uncertain? What is the reason why we shouldn't be uncertain? Is there a reason? Because God is in control. Thus, I fight not as one who beats the air, but I discipline my body and bring it into subjection, lest when I preach to others, I myself should become disqualified. Hold on.
because we're going to encounter a lot of people who are in darkness and totally convinced. You're going to leave more frustrated than them after the conversation. You're going to be talking in your car, driving home. I can't believe she said that to me, blah, 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 and be on the road and something happened to you. So we really need to be careful how we speak and what we say. It becomes frustrating if you don't move it.
Very, very important that we don't get upset when we speak to people. If this is someone who is very tough, and they already are convinced about all that they believe, I think the best way to deal with people like those, you have to consistently live a life that will set an example. If this is someone you come in contact with or see you every day, and pray for that person. Because that's, you know, and they will deliberately, intentionally say things. And I know that because there was one particular guy in my workplace. He would say, I didn't know they had black Jews. Are you Amish? I never see any black Amish before. And these are the things he's always saying stuff to me. But it doesn't make a difference because I never wear pants to work. I just always wear a dress and a skirt or something. And he was always saying stuff to me. You know, so I know what you mean.
Because sometimes you have you may have a certain personality and temperament until you meet that person who just sticks you in the wrong way, and then that's your moment to grow along with them, more so for you than it is for them, because it's going to highlight to you, wait a minute, who you are at that particular point in time. I used to be calm and not let anything roll off my back and everything is okay, but then that's when you must say, God, probably I need to go study a little bit about this, meaning as you keep on saying this to me and highlight you a little bit, and it's growth for you. You grow tremendously from that opportunity more than that person. So I find that, you know, more and more it's so important for me to have it here, because my test is there for me, always waiting for me, you know, in every situation at work or when I go home or speak to people, and I immediately go, oh, okay, you know, okay, you're saying this to me, but I see it a little bit differently, and how can I impart that to you and still see you tomorrow morning and say, oh, you have a flat tire? Come, let me help you. Or they see you have a flat tire and they come and approach you. Because people will not approach you anymore because they remember the last conversation they had with you and it didn't go too well. Leave the door open.
Yes, and we must always be consistent and remember that God is there for us. He doesn't fight battles and lose at any point. And once you're working on his behalf, your battle is already won. That's something that we must bear in mind. You know, consequence of intemperance, the secret of the enemies is a strategy. Intemperance of any kind benumbs. It benumbs the perceptive organs, and so weaken the brain nerve. So the power that we have, we become weak when we are in temperance. So it weakens the brain nerve power that eternal things are not appreciated but placed upon a level with the common things. This is where we are in trouble. This is where we are going to be completely lost. Once we put eternal things in the back burner, these are no longer important. When your will, the brain, become benumbed, and this can happen from many, many things, and it is the source, the root of it is intemperance. The root of it is intemperance. Intemperance of any kind benumbs that power. Frontal lobe, that section of the brain that we use to make decisions, it benumbs that section of the brain. Now, temperance is the foundation of health and happiness, while intemperance is the root cause of all sickness and disease. We are called to encourage people to be healthy and prevent and reverse disease. This is what we are called to do. This is a part of our mission. That is why all of God's people must be medical missionaries. So all of what you're learning now, you're not learning it to write it down or getting it as information for you to be more educated. You need this information so that you can hold conversation with people you come up on a daily basis. You spend more time with those people. They don't know anything about God. They never hear you talk about God. They don't see anything that you do that could be considered Christ-like. And that is something that you need to take into consideration. Okay? The only hope of better things is in the education of people in right principles. Effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. In case of sickness, and we must work with people and educate them and have many temperance programs, and these are some of the temperance outreach programs which exist today, that we could work with organizations of different types, which is stated here, that, in working with people who are smokers, this is a means of getting people to appoint them to Christ. So, Adventist abstinence from alcohol, prevention of drug use among teens, and cooperation with other temperance organizations, because these are not the only ones. Okay, in America, we have over 10,000 here, and this occurs as a result of alcohol use. Second in command from alcohol use is tobacco, and as a cause of premature death, and these are really deadly. We have many kind of accidents occurring as a result of the use of alcoholic beverages in every facet. It's not just young people, it's also older people where this is occurring. And all of that occurs as a result of intemperance. And we're looking here at a picture of our brain. And, we have the different section labeled there. The frontal lobe is 33% of the brain for humans. For a chimpanzee, it's 17%. For a dog, it's 7%. And for a cat, it's 3.5%. So it's 3.5% for cats. Have you ever watched a cat just torture an animal that he would have caught? Yeah. So cats have no mercy, absolutely no mercy. He doesn't want to kill the animal and destroy it right away. He plays with it. He tortures the rat. Yes. He would catch it and it looks half dead and then it runs and then it tap it. So he constantly tortures the animal. That's what the cat does. And the cat brain is 3.5. Frontal lobe is 3.5, judgment, decision, reasoning. The dog is 7%. If a dog attacks something, it just attack it, destroy it, and move on. right? So the dog is a little bit more, have a little bit more mercy than a cat. And even closer, a chimpanzee is a little bit more merciful. Human being has 33%. Now, what we do with our 33% is based on many, many variables. But if we destroy that 33% of the brain that God gave us to make decision and function efficiently, then our decision making is just going off and off. So our diet is going to destroy our frontal lobe. So we eat in sugar, which is a drug, and that drug is going to destroy our frontal lobe. So we not even start with alcohol, because that is going straight to the brain and it is damaging our brain. We have no judgment. We can't walk a straight line when we mess up our frontal lobe. If we're drinking this much amount of alcoholic beverages, our frontal lobe is totally destroyed. So, you know, and it keeps, if you keep now, Satan's primary medium of operation to bring this about and therefore control our mind is, if Satan can control our frontal lobe, and this is a whole nother, you know, we could spend a whole day talking about the control of the mind. So we're going to go through this real quick. So our appetite, which is food, you know, so these are the ways that we destroy our frontal lobe. If we're not eating the right foods, it's going to mess up our frontal lobe. Our sleep cycle is messed up, so we don't sleep for the required number of time that we need to sleep. Our frontal lobe will be affected. So proper rest, or sexual drive, okay, that is also something that will destroy, and that comes food, television, music, and so on and so forth. And these are all things that we are generally intemperate in, okay? Now, and for those that smoke, you know, so those are the things that affects us or destroy, help to break down the frontal lobe so we don't have proper judgment making decision. And if we add smoking to that, then it is consistent and it is going to lead to more death per million people in America. So smoking tobacco of any kind or smoking anything of any kind can lead to death, and it is destructive to our...
I have a question about the smoking when you mentioned it. What about people second-hand smoking? Because they usually say people who are smoking and the second-hand smoking people, we are more exposed to the people who are smoking themselves. So how do you explain that? Because sometimes on the street, you know, so many people, they are smoking when I'm walking on that street here, and I have to pause, you know, stay away from that person, and then the next person is smoking. I'm like, what can you say about this situation?
So one solution I have for that is to move out of the city and go in.
Because people are smoking everywhere.
Yes.
Not in the city, not in the country.
And then you have more open spaces, more trees. So you will have the balance between the pollution and the fresh air is greater in the country. Yes.
Especially in London, in England, smoking is prohibited on the street. You have your smoke shop, smoke rooms, you could go to smoke, so you're alone killing yourself in that way. But if you're caught smoking, you have to pay a fine or you can go to jail. In London, I experienced that for myself. No smoking. That's why those places don't have the high alarming rate of cancer as the United States.
Okay, so those people who believe in present truth should refuse to drink tea or coffee. For those excite a desire for stronger stimulant, they should refuse to eat flesh meat. For this too excite a desire for stronger drink. Wholesome food prepared with taste and skill should be our diet. I should add chocolate to that. You know, chocolate is really not good for you.
Having dark chocolate.
It does have caffeine in it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So is it?
Something called theobromine.
Mm-hmm.
When you raise the concentration of that, it works exactly like coffee.
So, after today, you know.
Yeah.
Then you need a little bit some time for your good magnesium if you really want to make a better sauce.
Okay. God's people are to learn the meaning of temperance in all things. They are to practice temperance in eating and drinking and dressing. And this is critical. We looked at eating, but dressing is something that, you know, we need to address. Maybe in the future we could look at dressing, but we must be temperate in the way we dress. We must understand what to wear, when to wear it, or never to wear it. Okay? Yes. Yeah, so it is very important that we understand temperance in dressing. You know, we like to gird ourselves and draw everything together so that we can look a certain way. But that also is intemperance. It cut off our circulation, and that will damage us to a great extent. Excessive indulgence in eating, drinking, sleeping, or seeing. So we have to be mindful of what we are seeing, because those are also, it is also intemperate. If you're conscious that you're going to see X or Y if you go someplace or you go on certain websites, don't go there. So you must practice temperance in all facets that you have control over. Okay? So it's very exercise is important. Temperance in drinking water, we know. As my time is up. So when we don't drink enough water, we get headache, constipation, fatigue, dry skin, confusion, lightheadedness, dry mouth, eyes, heat intolerance. Okay? Now, sunlight, we cannot overdo sunlight. We must be temperate even in the 8 laws of health. We cannot spend too much time saying we're getting all our vitamin D in one day when the sun comes out. That is intemperance. Okay? We must be conscious that you could overdo it. Even oversleeping is intemperate.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So people who sleep too much will die earlier.
Have mercy.
Yes, so we need just the right amount of sleep for our health and well-being. We don't want to be sleeping 24 hours or laying down in the bed because we're resting for all the time that we did not rest. That too is intemperate. Okay? So we need the right amount of sleep. So we must practice to be temperate in everything. Let me finish because they're rushing me to, yeah. They just set off an alarm and say, oh, your time is up. Sexual activity. How can we be intemperate in sexual activity? Anybody have any idea? Those God-given gift is often abused. So we could have too much sex. And for those people who are sexually active, if you think about just having too much sex, how does it make you feel? Are you tired? You're tired, right? You're not made happy. All the feel-good hormones that was produced, you overuse them, and then you become exhausted. So you can abuse sex, and that's just one way. But an abuse of it, it's a God-given gift, but please don't abuse it, because an abuse of it is intemperate. How can I be temperate in all things? Okay. We can't do it without Christ. So we got to ask God to help me, which is you. Keep in mind what is temperance and why it is important to be temperate in all things. So we must include. We cannot do it on our own. We must realize the depth of our problem. Okay, so we must realize the depth of our problem. And he made alive, and who we are dead in trespass and sin. So if we 100% surrender our whole existence to God, then we can become more temperate. Daniel, in his walk with God, he was temperate in all things. He was determined in his mind. So our will must be consistent and lined up with God in order to be temperate. Will you choose life today? So God set life before your life, before you. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both you and your descendant may live. Now, Daniel was purpose in his heart that he was not going to consume, he was not going to defile himself with a portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. He was never going to consume that, put that in his body, because he was conscious. He was determined. He was not going to do that. And that is something that we as God's people have to, no matter where, no matter what setting you go in, you have to know who you are. You must know who you are. You must know what you eat. You cannot choose to eat it because, okay, I'm here, this is a big function, I don't want to embarrass anybody. Let me just eat because I'm here, and whatever they put on the table, you're going to eat it. No. You got to teach people how to live, how to treat you. If someone is having a party, they invite you. I don't eat this, 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 this. If you're going to prepare something for me, you got to think about what I eat in order for me to be present. Or if they didn't prepare anything for you, you make sure you fill your stomach before you go, and you go to the party, you socialize.
I take my own food to a wedding before.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes. But you got to be temperate in, you got to know who you are. And you're not going to transform into this and this and this because you're in a different setting. No. On Friday sunset, wherever you are in the world, it's sunset, right? You're in Australia, you are in Alaska. It's sunset. It's the Sabbath. So regardless of where in the world you are, you're not going to go grocery shopping after sunset. So it's the same fundamental principle for every single aspect of your life. Now, this is one of our biggest problems. He who guards his mouth and his tongue keep himself from calamity. Now, how many of us have a problem? Temperance, controlling our mouth, what we say, you know, and we will say these things loosely. But we got to bear in mind that it's intemperate. We will sit and talk about each other. We got to bear in mind that that's intemperate. We don't do those things. We cannot do those things and be in line with God, what God wants for us. So these are things that we have to be conscious of. Someone come to you and start talking about somebody, you have to know that, you know, you don't want to be a part of this. You got to stay away from it. Meditate on something else. Move away from it. But you cannot sit there and have a conversation in a negative way about anyone and you claim you're serving God. That's intemperance. So we must be led by the Spirit. And every day we talk about this, we must ask for a fresh dose of the Holy Spirit on a daily basis. So when we step out and someone cut us off when we're driving, say, may the Lord help you to get there safely. Instead of, huh?
Thank God you just saved my life.
Exactly.
One day where I got a ticket and immediately I said, oh, thank God, because next week this could have been a major accident for me if I kept on this road, on this path, and I got the ticket. And I said, I fell asleep at the wheel next week. I pulled over and, get some sleep.
Okay. Yeah, so I say, walk in the Spirit and you shall not fulfill the lust of this flesh. Okay? For the flesh lusts against the Spirit and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary to one another so that you do not do the things that you wish. Okay? So we must be led by the Spirit. Okay? Live by the Word and look to the Word. Okay, so this is how we can be temperate, okay? The Bible gives a secret of being temperate. I can do all things through Christ who gives me the strength. Philippians 4 verse 13. And this is our last slide. So, as we said, the fundamental of being temperate, the temperance is the fundamentals of being consistent in your walk with the Lord. So we must be consistent in our walk with the Lord, and we cannot be temperate by ourselves. We need Christ in every step that we make in order to be temperate. But O'Neill, you had something you wanted to say?
Yes, this thing I was looking at, looking into alcohol,
Yeah, I'm going to go back to her.
It's one of Satan's lies.
Mm-hmm.
That many times, even when I'm at work, you have different people, different culture, like they would be drinking, and they would say, after work, they would be drinking. I was waiting for my time to expire to go home.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not drinking. Nothing to do if you take a little bit. I said, no, I don't drink.
Okay.
What Satan lies is that you just can take a little.
Okay, you only can take.
A little until they know what you stand for.
Right.
And one of the foreman said to me one day, I noticed every time I look on your phone and your status, I see a lot of stuff and how you act at work. Are you a Christian?
Okay, so that you're living, in the Spirit. Kim, you wanted to read something. Can you read that now for us, please? Oh, the mic is not working. So you don't want to read it still? You don't think we... We want to hear what you were going to share.
Okay, I was just going to share in terms of the true spirit of prayer and fast. A lot of times we might focus on, just the outward exactness. So Pastor Coco always shares this quote for Bible Commentary Volume 4, page 1148, paragraph 9. In our work, we shall find a high profession of piety and much outward exactness bound up with great inward wickedness. The people represented in Isaiah 58 complain that the Lord allows their services to go unnoticed. This complaint is the expression of hearts unsubdued by grace, rebellious against the truth. Those who receive the truth, which works by love and purifies the soul, are loyal to God, honoring Him by obedience to His laws, which is holy, just, and good. And then the last part says, the spirit of true fasting and prayer is the spirit which yields mind, heart, and will to God. And Pastor Coco always explains that we can have this outward exactness in everything, but still the heart is not subdued. And that's what I wanted to say concerning the fast that we were talking about.
Okay, and that is one of the big problems that a lot of us have. We have this outward exactness, and we want to correct everybody about everything, but the heart needs to be subdued. Yes, so that's a very good contribution towards the presentation. Are there any questions? No questions? No more questions. So we're gonna